Greetings, gentlemen of amber origin and men of quality, men of caliber, men of timber, and men that Ambazonians are counting on. Once again, you are in here for another class. I would like to call you my teachers or our teachers because we are teaching everybody down there at home front and plus some of us that are out here. Hello, home front. This is ABC. This is Amber TV. And you are about to get into a class where you have teachers that will teach us on what we actually need for our country, ethics for a developing nation, ethics for an emerging nation. That's what we are in for today. And I want to greet all of you and pay homage to the interim government and to all the people that are watching us today live on ABC. I will quickly give over the floor to the panelists that are inside here. Today, I think we have only one host. My co-host is not here. I'm sure other duties have called her somewhere and is still for the blessing and possibility of the Ambazonian people. So you are all welcome, and I would like to immediately hand over the microphone to the first person that is on my right. Can you hear what I've just done? I just went ahead and then blocked me off, you know.
We hear
All
you
right,
now.
Barrister Tim, I would like to come in with you to say hello to the people of Ambazonia, followed closely by Dr. Ndula and then Dr. Titanta. Please, in that order, so that we can save time and talk the much that we have to talk today. Over to you, Barrister Tim. And before Barrister Tim actually comes in, ladies and gentlemen, people of Ambazonia, I want to let you know that our lines will be open today. You can see you can see the phone line over there is WhatsApp calls. You can call in and ask these these teachers of Ambazonian people, whatever question, and you have a contribution, you can also make it over to them. They will be here live to actually answer and talk back to you. All right, in the order of salutation and introduction, Barrister Tim, Dr. Ndula, and Dr. Tutanta go in that order. Over to you, sirs.
Thank you, host. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. I hope we're back here, and I hope by the close of the day, every viewer, every participant will go home with a lesson, go home with something, learn something at least by the time we close from here. And may I just use this to correct a small thing. We're not teachers now, we're just eye openers. There are things that are hidden in your closet that you never saw. We just help you to see them. We're not bringing lessons to teach. We're bringing lessons to make us open our eyes and see further than our bedroom. All what we say has existed for time immemorial, but by virtue of nature, we've forgotten about it. We just let them go. And so we're here to help. That's our role. For those who never knew, we teach them. But for everybody who already knew, we'll open your eyes to a better future. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, all participants. Thank you, coordinator.
Yes. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians. Welcome to this presentation of ours every Friday. My name is Tom Dula from ABCLGA in Gogotunja County. I'm very happy to be on board today. after what we talked about last week about how the advantages of ethical leadership in a society. We are here today once more to talk about something very, very important. And I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure to let you people know what we think, what we propose for the Amazonian people, so that our society should be. We are not creating a new society. This society was once there already. We had a nation, the Southern Cameroons, which was autonomous, had prime ministers, Dr. Endele, John Gufoncha, Joa, Augustine Gom. So it is not today that we are wanting to tell you, well, this is the type of society that we would want, having ethical leadership and ethical citizens of high moral standard, but we already had it, and we are restoring it now. So those are some of the things that we want to tell you people about today. To so we have an Amazonia that is very, very of high ethical standards. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians. Good evening, Pastor Commando. Good evening, fellow panelists. It's again a pleasure for me to be on this show tonight. It is repetition is always something very good, especially when you're repeating something which is good. I remember there is a scripture in the Bible that tells me about when the children of Israel were crossing the Red Sea to go and inherit their promised land, when God miraculously opened the Red Sea for them, God commanded the people, the priests, to go to the bottom of the sea and pick up some stones. And God even told them that if your children in the future ask you, what are these stones? You should use those stones to remind them where they came from, what God did for them. So it is very important to remind ourselves every time that we have our own stones in the history. And I'm very glad Dr. Tom has just mentioned something in that line. We are not coming out of a vacuum. We are coming from somewhere, and we are going somewhere better. In society, people should always strive to evolve and evolve into something better. Unfortunately, we evolved into something which was not good because we got, I may use the term, got compromised. We got compromised by an inferior system that made us to not believe on who we are. So this program, I see this program as reminding ourselves of who we truly are, and that we strive to go back to who we really are. So I am pleased to bring my own modest contribution in this process. God bless us all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that self-introduction there. And Barrister, thank you for the correction that we are just reminding the people of Ambazonia around the globe, not only on home front, but around the globe. We are just reminding you that this is a reminder of what you had already known before and what was with you before, that we should go back into it. Now, before we go ahead, I would like to crave the indulgence of Dr. Tom Dula to just quickly go back and then give us a brief summary or recap of what we treated last week. You remember last week we were here and we did some.
Yes, thank you. Last week we had a very engaging, very important topic. We talked about the advantages of ethical leadership and how that impacts the society in a very good way from top to bottom. Yes, we talked about first of all, ethical leadership. It brings peace and prosperity to the nation, because for ethics we strive to see to it that the institutions, the leadership, and the general public, they adhere to very high ethical standards, very high moral standards, that there be accountability and transparency. So that will lead to peace and prosperity in the nation, and the respect for the law, because it is unethical to not respect the law, to want to do things your own way. So ethics sees to it, it's like some sort of watchdog over the laws of the land. So ethics guards the reputation of the nation, and see to it that equal justice is done to everyone. Not that we see to it, we urge the powers that be, the executive, to practice equity, that's treating everybody fairly, equally, no matter who you are. So we also talked about that there is, in an ethical society, people should advance only based on merit. That's meritocracy, not because of man, no man, or it is somebody you favor or somebody did you a favor. So in return, you help that person up the ladder to get a position. No, the person must be qualified and must be competitive amongst other, like for a government post, the person must be competitive amongst other suitors for that position, and then merit it. Then that person can have it. So there is trust and respect that leads to better morale, loyalty, and increase in productivity. And there are incentives for potential investors. So, and lastly, we talked about how ethical leadership cares about the interests of the common man on the street, not just unlike the evil La Republique regime where we come from, where it is your wealth and your position in society that matters, how justice is meted out. Unlike that, we want it to be in Ambazonia like it was before the so-called reunification with La Republique, that everybody should be treated fairly, equally before the law. So nobody should be afraid that, oh, I don't have money, I'm not powerful, so I can't even dare take this person up to court if there is any problem. So those, as far as I can remember, those are the things we talk about. And then, of course, I mean, we embrace transparency and ethical leadership, and ethical society embraces transparency and accountability, which leads to the shying away from bribery and corruption, like it is rampant in La Republique. We don't want any of that in a free Ambazonia. Thank you. The panelists
Thank you
can add
very
if they
much.
remember anything I've
Yes.
forgotten.
No, I think Barrister was not here with us last week, right?
I wasn't. I was absent.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Titanta, please, you were here with us last week. Can you just go ahead and then add up something to what he has just mentioned? Let's see.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Dr. Tom. You really gave a very good elaborate summary of what was done. I just want to specify here, point out here that when a nation is ruled by righteous, the people of the nation rejoice. So it is a priority for a nation to make sure that if you want to radiate nationally and internationally, the first thing you should do your best in to ensure that your leadership is an ethical kind of leadership. There is one thing that I think Dr. Tom mentioned, but passingly, which I would like to emphasize on: the image of the nation, internally and externally. It radiates. When you look at nations that are very ethical in the world, they have very good standing in international world also. When they go, for example, people would love to go invest. Ethical people would love to go invest in those places. You don't want to go and invest your money in a place that corruption will be the issue of the day. So people would be flocking in. Visitors will coming in at will. The people who want to visit your country because they see the report, they hear report about your country. Even the citizens of the country, they can easily visit other ethical nations in the world. And last week we mentioned the fact that today many Africans, they can only enter Europe through illegal means, using the boats, go to America, passing through the forests in Latin America, because they cannot just go and take a visa easily and go on a plane and fly to Europe or America, because it's not easy to get visas from this country, these countries, for citizens coming from these unethical nations. So, but Ambazonia will be a big difference if we really strive to make sure that our country is, the foundation of countries led down by really ethical people. We start to do it right even from now. From now, start trying to practice this while we're still on the transition, because Ambazonia will be free. Definitely will be free. Yes, that is what I wanted to add to that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
But Barrister, the way you're shaking your skin is as if even though you were not there, you have something to colorate and make it
No, I think
going.
Dr. Titanta has ended it where Ambazonia should be free. I will
Okay.
not just be
All right.
freedom, with freedom of
Yes.
thoughts, freedom of
Mm-hmm.
action, supervision of
Mm-hmm.
the superior, and the
Mm-hmm.
watchdog of the people. Ambazonia should be
Right.
free. And for it to be effectively free, we start right now. We are still
Mm-hmm.
50 miles from Buya, but we're getting
Yeah.
closer to it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was a very good summary there. Ambazonia, remember you are free. I will want to add that though we are like our hands are tied physically, but spiritually we are free because God has given us the land. We can see the land afar off. Barrister say about 50 miles, means that we are very, very close because 50 miles can be done in one day by our people in those days when there were no cars and they were riding horses, sometimes going with the jackass. All right. Now, for today, we want to go ahead and talk about the role of the people in home front, in ground one, the IDPs, and possibly the refugees, and then the diaspora, all of this in building an ethical Ambazonia. This is what we want to focus on today. How can this group of people, everybody that is of Ambazonian origin, put hands? What role can they play in building an ethical Ambazonia? So I would like to go first with Dr. Titanta to go ahead and then give us your take and educate us. Let's learn together. Remind us, like Barrister said, remind us the role we have to play so that this is to make all of you down there not to think that we are teachers here. No, we are reminding ourselves of what we knew before. So, and Dr. Titanta says that repetition is meant for emphasis. So, over to you, sir. Tell us how our people can be involved. Yes.
Yes, definitely. The people they are actually the vanguards. They are the ones that will make sure that the ethical behaviors are maintained in our societies. The people should act like the eye of the society, because people are the ones to report when they see misbehaviors. So the first thing the people have to do is to develop a mindset an ethical mindset. It starts with the mind, a change of mindset. Our minds have been corrupted by La Republique for 60 years, but we can begin to change our mind. And I want to point out the fact that a vast majority of us Amazonians are believers, whether Muslims or Christians, a vast majority. We must believe in this God and believe what God says we are, who God says we are. We must never doubt who we are. We must never doubt that we are the owners of our land. That is why even United Nations recognize the boundaries of our land. It is not by accident that you were born in that triangle. God placed you there, and you are the custodian of the land. You are the owner of the land. Never feel like a second-class citizen in your own home. Never let anybody intimidate you. The ambassador who are setting up will be there to protect your rights. You need to know your rights. You need to be prayerful and believe God, trust God. Never allow somebody to look low on you. Believe in yourself. Believe where you're coming from and where you're going to. Trust in God. While you do it, be prayerful. Be prayerful. Be watchful. I always love to get inspiration from the scripture. The Bible tells me about people called people of Israel. They were in captivity in Babylon. Meanwhile, their land was in ruin, just like our land, Amazonia, is in ruin. Then God came and spoke to one man called Nehemiah. They went home, they were building the land. They were motivated, they prayed to their God while building the land. They prayed to they had ethical leaders like Nehemiah while building the land. The Bible tells me that while they were building, they had also weapons girded on their sides. So be vigilant. Be vigilant, because the enemy will want to bring us back into bondage. It must start now. We must start to change our mindset. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. If we think as a free people, we are free. If we think as a people that God created with inalienable rights, we have those rights. So we must claim back our destiny. And that destiny begins with our mindset, as I repeat. So let us clean our minds from all the things that La Republique has made us to become. Never you think that you are lesser human. Yes, I remember when I was at the university, when I left high school, for example. I just want to elaborate. Just want to point on to tell you what we are, which sometimes we can forget. In my opening statement, I said that humans are supposed to evolve, and the evolution should be to something better, something positive. But La Republique calls us to evolve into a negative direction. Why am I saying this? Let me give an example. When I was leaving the university, high school, I was living with sciences. I was a science student. When I was living in high school, I could not believe that in my village there were no electricity. When I studied at school, I could build a hydroelectric power station. I understood the principle of slip rings and split rings in electromagnetic inductions. I understood the principle of bimetallic strips to build all kinds of things that you cannot think about. But when I found myself in the University of Yaoundé, I found myself as if I was just somebody starting secondary school again. It's like I knew nothing. It was like I was, and after leaving this place, I was worse than I was leaving high school. So I evolved into a negative kind of mindset. So please, we must know that we are better than La Republique. And to show this again, an example that we are better. I remember when I succeeded to go to second year physics chemistry at the university, because of that Anglo-Saxon, the Anglophone background that they made us to think that we're inferior beings, I could not have that courage to get up and speak in class. So one day a teacher walked into our class, a new teacher, and just said, okay, you guys are all a bunch of idiots. Speaking in French, all our teachers were French speaking. Say, you are all bunch of idiots. Let me prove to you that you are all idiots. But he didn't know there was an Anglophone in that class. He thought they were all Francophones. He said, let me prove to you. Get out your chemistry textbook, inorganic chemistry textbooks. I will ask you one question which is in your book. Explain to me why we don't have ozone.
Was he talking in French or English?
It was French. It was French. I'm just saying it. I don't want to speak French here. So he said,
Okay,
I
all
will show
right.
you that you are all idiots. He said, get out your chemistry textbooks. The answer to my question is in the book. Explain to me why ozone is on the surface of is in the high in the atmosphere, not on the surface of the earth. So for me, that was a straightforward question with straightforward answer right from the textbook, the exercise book, the notebook, as he said. But I looked around the class, people were turning pages, turning pages. I was like, I couldn't believe. But the question was, the answer was really straightforward. But because I had believed that I was inferior, I could not open my mouth to speak anything in that class. So I was raising my hand. My fingers were shaking while I was raising my hand. It was shaking. And the man saw me, said, "This, I can't believe my eyes. There's somebody who can answer. I can't believe this." I quickly pulled down my finger, and the teacher came to me and said, "Can you answer the question?" And I said, "Yes." And everybody turned and saw it was me. "Oh, c'est l'anglola. Il ne comprend rien." That guy said, "Oh, there's an anglophone in the class today." I was the only anglophone. I said, "Yes." "Are you Anglo?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I withdraw my statement because I did not know there's anglophone here." He said, "Can you answer?" I said, "Yes." He took me on. He supported
Wow.
me, and I said, give the answer. I said, "We have learned under ozone that ozone is prepared when there is electric discharge through oxygen. We know that far in the atmosphere, we have electromagnetic waves, that any oxygen molecule that is far up there will be ionized into ozone. That's why we have ozone high up there, because the sunlight has not been shielded." The man just said, "Applaud." You say, "Clap for him." And the bunch of says, "Oh, let's Langlola, he parle l'anglais, the Bamenda, I don't comprend. Leave the Anglo, he's speaking the Bamenda thing there. We don't even understand that he's Bamenda." So the man was like, "I told you, I did not know there's an Anglophone in this class." And from that day, the Francophones, they're like, "My God, where did you get this?" I say, "It's in the text." In the English system, we're not taught to memorize. We are taught to apply
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. We are taught to apply knowledge. That's why when I was leaving high school, I was struggling to build a hydro power station in my village in Baba One. I was struggling to build a windmill. I didn't know about windmill because I learned about electromagnetic induction in high school. I was like, why don't we have these things in our places? These are feasible things. So I'm just giving this example to tell you, you must believe that you are superior to these people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let them
Mm-hmm.
make you feel that you are inferior. No, you are superior. So you own the land. Trust in your God. Be prayerful and hardworking. Hold your arm while you are protect yourself, and there is nothing that can hold us back from the destiny God has planned for us. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Titanta. That is very, very encouraging. I want to let an average Amazonian out there to know that you have been made to believe that you are a slave. Meanwhile, you are actually a master. And there is a book I'm reading which says that as long as the master, the ruler, the king is a small boy, even the servants will rule over him. But when he becomes a man, he can now take over his position. I think the time is done, the day is done for Ambazonians to know that there are no more children, there are no more slaves, they are masters, and it's time to take over and be the master you were meant to be. But unfortunately, let's go over now to Dr. Tom to give us your take on how our people, the rule of the people. Remember, I said that people in the home front, people in ground one, people IDPs around the world. I normally tell people that I am an externally, internationally displaced person. So I'm one of them. So, and then people in the diaspora, how can these together build an ethical Ambazonia beginning from now? So that when we get in there, it will not be a struggle as it has been when we're living with those crooks. Over to you, Dr. Tom.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Yes, I will start with something what that Dr. Titanta said something very important, that people are to have this to develop this ethical mindset, and to start developing it, start applying it in their vicinity before we touch ground on Boya. That is very, very important. and how important that is. We can see how some fellow Amazonians here in the diaspora, due to the unethical behavior, are trying to divide the leadership, stall the struggle without thinking about the consequences. Had it been they put ethical codes, ethical rules in front of them, and try to see and say, well, how ethical is this? How good is this for the vast majority of Amazonians out there? How good is this what I'm doing or saying for 8 million Amazonians? If there is just some little doubt in it, something that might go wrong, something that might harm others, then you desist from it, no matter how good you think it might be. So those are things which, unfortunately, we did not learn in school. We were in La Republique schools. What we were taught there was, really terrible. First of all, when it comes to history, we never knew about our history. We never knew there was once Southern Cameroons, or today we call it Amazonia. We only knew there's Northwest, Southwest, and we speak English, they speak French. We are a wonderful bilingual country, just like Canada, and blah, 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 blah. And about our history, they will teach us about Manjong, teach us about the traditions of those in the Western province, and which are part of La Republique, and in the so-called Northwest province, the similarities and all that. And we would be happy with all that, because there were hardly any teachers to teach us, to let us know what is there, what had been, what had taken place. Well, there were some few people like Albert Mokong, with Prisoner Without a Crime, and others whom we were made to know. Those are agitators. Those are people who cause problems. So, I mean, just to say, people will not know such things if they are not taught, if they are not told it. And the best way to do it is to start when we are still young, with the children. Start at home. Talk about the history. Teach the children what you read there in the textbooks, in La Republique textbooks, and out there, what you Google out there is not necessarily the truth. Teach them what was there. Southern Cameroons was once a nation, and we had governments, we had peaceful change of leadership twice before the evil La Republique came were forced upon us. So all those things we teach them to our children while being here in the diaspora, and to our relatives back home. We inform them, we talk to them on regular basis, so that they know. They would hardly get any such information back home. Even with what is going on now, with the war declared on us by La Republique, they would tell them, oh, it is those Amba people, those Amba who like killing people, or who like harassing people. Well, what is Amba? Amba is a reaction to the genocidal war declared upon our people back home by the evil La Republique regime. If I'm a young man there, have my family and everything, and you come in there because I'm saying, oh, Amazonia should be free, Southern Cameroon should be free, and you want to kill me, I will defend myself. I have every right to defend myself before you do anything to me or to my family. So that is what AMBA is. And then we are here, out here in the diaspora, educating the world about what Southern Cameroons is all about at all. So all those things, it has to start with education, education at home, telling our children what is there, and not only saying, oh, go and read it here, or Google it, or they will say, yes, Papa, but they will not do it. So you sit them down, talk with them, and at your workplaces, You tell people about it in the in churches, in gatherings, in social gatherings, at where your friends are. I mean, there are some friends I hardly hang around with who are Southern Cameroonians also. They don't want to hear about Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. For them, it is just a litany of repeating what La République is saying about us. And I mean, I would say people who want to take the easy way out. They want to always be going to La République and enjoying, dishing out money and showing how they've succeeded in white man country, and not go the hard way of taking the bulls by the horns and then saying, well, yes, we have a problem here. We are Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonia, and we have restored our independence, which we used to have. And for many of us back there home in the at the home front, that is already some death sentence. So out here in the diaspora, we have that possibility to really educate ourselves, start educating our children, educating all those around us who care to know. And yes, I mean, it is not just like what has happened, what we all went through. I was in the University of Yaoundé for 1 year, almost a year. In natural science, we had 13 subjects, just one in English, one. And that one was part of physics. And there was this system where the teachers had polycops, they had their textbooks, which they had written, and they sell it to the students. So you get one of those textbooks and you read them, understand them, you are guaranteed to pass that subject. So that was this win-win situation. So we were very angry, we the Southern Cameroonians, when that teacher who taught that one subject, 1 out of 13 in English, when he translated that his book into French. So we were very angry because we didn't have that advantage again over the others. So it was really chaos there. And those are the things all of us have gone through. So we should tell our children that that is part of our history. So we educate them and everybody around us who cares to know. And not only that, we should reward good behavior and shame unethical behavior, starting at home and with our friends. And yes, and tell other fellow Ambazonians how it used to be. I have problems educating those with whom I frequented, with whom I visited the same secondary school back in the home front. They would talk and argue this and that. I'm in the World Bank. I've traveled the world. I know this, that. Look at that situation, that situation. Ours is no different. You can forget that thing about Amazonia. And I'll tell them, no, we, Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, were once a nation. We are a people. We are not Northwest, Southwest, as La Republique would want us to be. So just basic history, the basic facts of the matter, they would not want to talk about that because somehow they know they are happy being where they are. They know about the consequences of standing for such a thing that you still say, oh, you are supporting Amber. You are I tell them, no, I don't support Amber. I am Amber. I am an Ambazonian and I want the independence of our people, and I will help them defend themselves against the killers that are coming to kill them. So try to tell them about the history and say, please go read it by yourself. And there are little books there. I will put it into the hands of some. Hopefully they read it. So those are the ways we have to educate our people, starting from our own family members and relatives back home in the home front, so that they make sense of what is happening and not just if you are being lied to every day, that, oh, Dr. Ditanta is a thief, he's a lazy person, he's this and that, and you have no other source of information or can't even talk to him. you might end up believing what those so-called trusted people around you are telling you. So it is our duty to inform our people back home, to hammer this into their heads. And everybody around us, everybody knows me here. I'm Ambazonian. They come into my house. There is the big Ambazonian flag there. And you just enter, you see things, and then it prompts that you ask. And then I'm very happy to answer them. There is something here in Germany. As I came here decades back, I used to be, angry when people would come and just be questioning you. Oh, who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing here? And do you intend going back home? And I will just cut the story short by telling some I'm German. Full stop. Oh, so but nowadays, I really love having being asked such questions. They'll say, "Yeah, where are you from?" "Oh, from Ambazonia. You don't know about Ambazonia? Please have a seat. Let's talk." And then I would inform them and tell them about what is going on there. So that is how we should be doing it, informing people, teaching them about what is there, so that they should know. And we stand. Unfortunately, there is some war going on in Ukraine now. What is going on there? We really stand with the people of Ukraine. We see their sovereign country being invaded. It is actually nothing less than what is happening in Ambazonia today in southern Cameroons. It is just that many people, even many of our people, do not know that we were once and are an independent and autonomous region. There was this so-called reunification, which we can opt out from. And that is the case now. We have declared our independence, and we have restored that independence, which was stolen, promised to us in April 1961, that we will get it on 1st October 1961, and then stolen from us by Britain, France, and the powers that be. And those are the facts. Those are the things that people should know. And our people are dying. Over 40,000 have been killed since 5 years ago. And it is still happening up till now. So we should educate people about these facts. Those are not things we are conjuring up, or those are not opinions we are spewing out there. Those are facts. Those are things that are happening right now. So it is our duty to inform others and educate them and let them know. So, and then, of course, talk about ethical behavior, ethical conducts, and to prevent um, uh, uh, um, people causing more problems in our God ordained revolution than solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tom. That was history that is being recounted. And I think I buy all of your narratives as to what we should do, especially in touch with the topic of today, how we should inform and talk and educate our people about an ethical Ambazonia tomorrow. I want to say that some of the very important points that you have mentioned uh, is to let our children and our children's children know what is going on now. I know that some of us who were born before independence, we had the opportunity to read books like History by S.N. Tita, that was actually talking about the Cameroons. Eventually, I think in the early 70s, those books were cut away, and I think Nuremberg Press was also kind of destroyed, in Victoria down there. And so many of those historical things that most of you who were born after the coup had taken place, and the blindfolding of 72 had taken place, you are very, very ignorant of some of the things that some of us know. And since our parents at that time were not literate enough to write down the history for us to read back at home, they used to tell us fairy stories, and they still stuck in our brains till tomorrow. So if we begin to teach those of you who are IDPs, you tell your children why you are suffering in that land. This takes me to a narrative that I read from a historical book that is very authentic. A particular nation stayed out of their nation for 430 years. After 430 years, they went back and regained their land in the Middle East. What happened that kept them? For the 430 years, they did not forget where they came from. They did not forget their, their history and their background. And they kept their seed until they went back to their land. And today we're hearing of Israel, 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 Israel. The annihilation that the Egyptians took was just like what La Republica has been trying to do for over 60 years with the Amazonian people. And like you say, it's unfortunate for some of the so-called Amazonians who claim that they are doctors, they have traveled to this place and gone to this place, they have gone to space and they are traveling to the moon and they are enjoying themselves. They still go back to La Republic Cameroon because they are out there. They managed to have come out there uh, before roads were tightened, and they forget about their cousins and their tribal men who have died in the seas, died in the bushes here in South America, and they are making noise. But there are a few conscious people who would want to get back to a free land, a free Amazonia, how it was before the imperialists came in to devastate us. So thank you very much for that education there. We want to cross over to Barrister Tim to unleash to us how our people in the home front, our people in ground one, our people in the diaspora, and all the IDPs, even that are hanging around in the La Republic and other places, how can they educate the Amazonian people for an ethical Amazonia tomorrow? Because there is one thing which we are talking here with confidence is that God has given back our land. Over to you, Barrister.
Thank you, sir. Let me start from where you have ended. All of us here in this panel, we seem to have one thing in common. We all went to the University of Yaoundé. The University of Yaoundé went through us, but it did not convert us.
Yeah,
That's why we are saying what we are saying.
right.
And from there, I will take it to the point. Say, ethics is the vanguard of the Constitution. When you deal with the country, you deal with two things: the Constitution and the ethics that govern it. If there's no Constitution, we have nothing to lean on. If the Constitution is not properly applied, we are lost. And therefore, we have two hurdles as we struggle to get back home: converting, reconverting the converted, and educating the uneducated. For example, let us talk about the Constitution. All constitutions in the world are written in such a language that anybody can really understand. You can go down the road and buy a copy of the American Constitution. So too is the Ambassadorian Interim Constitution. I bought my own copy in the street. I don't know where it was made, but it's there. It's not written for lawyers. It's written for people to read and understand. So you don't need to go to law school in order to come and read and understand the Constitution. And until you read and understand that document, which is so simple and meant for you, we are not going to succeed. Again, I say we have a big hurdle to overcome. Converting the corrupt or reconverting the already corrupt among us. For now, the struggle for our restoration is essentially being piloted by the educated. Those of us with PhD, lawyer this, Dr. SB, YZ, and so on. Yes, but many amongst us have become so corrupt, probably unknowingly, but so corrupt. Take, for example, again, the Constitution. How can we say that we're sitting here talking about a small document called the Interim Constitution of Ambazonia? And among ourselves, we're so dishonest not even to say what it is. Constitution is there in plain language saying that, for example, there should be no election. And then when you point this out to the powers that be at this time, what do they do? They turn and say, no, no, we didn't vet you. Well, you don't vet me to have a degree in law. Neither do you vet somebody to be a teacher. So you don't need vetting to be able to read and understand the Constitution. Again, as we sit here, we see something happening back in Cameroon of the Republic struggling to rewrite the history of Cameroon. In that panel, there are many of us Ambazonians there. What are they doing? They are trying to rewrite the history. But let them be reminded, and all of us, history is what it is. History is not what you want or what you like. And I can guarantee you in advance that rewritten history being championed by some of our brothers who are university professors will never feature the word unification. It will feature always reunification because that is what they want. You're not going to go to the presidency in Yaoundé and say something, put their unification. No, it must be fed their reunification and all that nonsense. And so we have to deal with ourselves first, converting the ones who are already so corrupt before we ever get back home. And when we get back home, what does that mean? All of us have made the mistake to think that, oh, we're getting to Boya. Yes, but our brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers who will live and die without even putting foot in Boya. They are there in my village, in yours. They will die without putting foot in Boya. But what does reaching Boya mean? It means that somebody in Frunkankang, somebody in Dob, somebody in Wa, Boya will meet you there. Boya will meet you in your house. What does it mean? Some of us will die without ever seeing the prime minister with our eyes, or whoever is the president in Boya. But he has his representatives. You are going to send people to something they call parliament. What sense does it make? Not everybody going to parliament is going to promise you a ring road. Because not every village needs a ring road. We need different things. And hopefully, there will be multipartism. People will promise you gold and silver in different places. There are places where they will promise a school. There are places where they will promise a bridge. There are places where they will promise a police station. That is boy. I'm meeting you. What sense does it make if you live in a village with a gutter, without any covered put there, and somebody campaigns to you? Send me to parliament and will be the covered. He goes to parliament, he's there for 5 years, nothing has been built. He comes back home. And what do? The young man in the village go and push his car for him through the covered. They cannot hold him accountable. Why should they do that? If you have not built the covered, don't come back home. What sense does it make making a sous-prefect, whatever thing it is, in Fundong, in Dop, somewhere in the bush there, with a 4-wheel drive, while the villagers don't have water to drink? What is that? So our boy must meet us home. We'll hold our people accountable. It does not enough for you to come and build the covered. If there's a covered need there, you must build one with the people's money. You are not bound to employ your wife, your brother, or your sister to do it. It's unethical. Let it be built. And again, remember, there's something that our parents used to do. Yeah, they tried to abolish it, but it's still in a different form. Our parents used to pay something they call poll tax. You pay a tax to the government. What is the consideration? You are paying this tax. What are you getting in return? You just give them the money? No. You pay a tax to the government. If you don't pay the tax, they arrest you and send you to jail. But if they don't come back to fulfill their promise that they made to you as a government, you do them nothing. Now you have something you can do. You can throw them out. You can even go out and demonstrate in the village, and that guy will not come back to the village anymore. So, give me a second. So, we have to tell our government that You are the government up there. We are the people who put you there. We hold you accountable through different forms. You are not going to arrest the minister, whoever is a minister or whatever thing, and put him in jail. But we have the way to hold them accountable, hold them responsible for their word. That's ethical. You have to keep the promise you made. You don't have to be silenced for doing the right thing. Today, we still have Avenue Charles de Gaulle somewhere in Yaoundé and Douala. In Boya, we still have Bongo Square. I think I talked about this some times ago. What is the ethics in maintaining Avenue Charles de Gaulle in Douala while pulling down the statue of Foncha and dragging it in the mud? And our own politicians were sitting there, nobody can even raise a finger to say this is wrong. It's a moral thing just to respect that guy. So you can see in the future history that is being written, the Fonchas, the Enders will feature nowhere because they were never politicians by the standard of Yaoundé. And interestingly, those books that will be written on the design of Yaoundé are going to be imposed on our people. This is the history book you must read. Now, we have said no to that system, and we say no, we are not going to take it. We'll go to Boya, and that is where we belong. When we get to Boya, Boya will meet us where we are. Boya will meet you back home, in your village, in your community. How many of us remember that? Who thinks that when you get to Boya tomorrow and there are paved roads, 4-lane roads, 6-lane roads, the same will apply in your village? No, every village will not have a 4-lane road. But you need a footpath where somebody going to the farm can ride his bicycle. You need a footpath where a woman can put her plantain in the truck and push to the market. And so, the Constitution is the basic document which must be interpreted according to the wishes of every people where they are. And so, as I said again, all constituencies that will elect people to parliament, who will eventually form the government, do not have the same demands. Every community shall have the right to hold their representative accountable, to hold them ethically upright. If you are an MP and you come back to the village and follow people's wives, that's immoral. What should they do? They should throw you out. We don't need to be lawyers to know all these things. I'm sure that those of us who are old enough know that in the 1961, 62, or 59, 60, there was somebody, a parliamentarian called Samofo. Samofo, I'm sure never passed under 6. But he was the most renowned politician that we ever heard in history.
Yeah.
He could make a
Shamufo.
noise. He came from
Yeah.
Santa. He
Mm-hmm.
could tell his story. But I don't come from Santa. How many streets of Samofo are there in Santa? I'm sure 0.
Mm-hmm. 0.
So, brothers and sisters, Ambazonians, again, we have an uphill task. First, educating ourselves to what is supposed to be done. Before educating our people, the internally displaced, the people at home, they are not so foolish. They know it more than you and me know. And let me
Yeah.
end over this. When I was a young man, very young in the 60s, I had an uncle in Kumba who did not know how to read and write. But this man was a lawyer in every right.
What?
Everybody they complained there about the farm, they went to the customer because they kept to consult him. He couldn't read his name, he couldn't write his name. But he was a lawyer because he understood the people's rights. If you're taking a farm from a Bakonduma or from a Bafoman for 10 years and the man was coming after 4 years, the man will advise you don't give it. And they go to the customer court and you win. So we don't expect everybody to go and do a law degree to know the law. No. We don't expect everybody to go to economy to be able to teach your own child at home what is good or bad. We don't expect everybody to be a church pastor to know that stealing is wrong, to know that lying is wrong. These are inborn tendencies in all of us, in all human beings. Yes, though they are blessed by God. Who of us believes that when Moses went up the mountain, he said, "Then God came and gave him 2 tablets of 10 commandments"? No. He sat there and wrote that thing with the inspiration of God. And those 10 commandments have become universal today. He came down and said, "Look, God gave me this thing." That means God told me to write this thing. God did not tell me to write for him.
Mm-hmm.
But in those days, many hundreds of years ago, they have become the universal law of the country. There's no country in the world which should tell that this 10 commandments, this one is bad. They all adore it, even though they are many. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that is what ethical behavior means. That is what knowing the law means. Know first, the only law you need to know right now is the Constitution, because that's the guiding principle for what everything we do. Anybody who tramples on the Constitution is not helping himself, is not helping us. Otherwise, if we can distort our own Constitution, how can we then complain about Yaoundé? We cannot complain about Yaoundé.
Yeah.
And we should have what is written. Because what has killed most of us from the early 60s, the functions and ready, was this. They refused to understand a constitutional provision from a wish. Where was it ever written in the constitution that the vice president will be Anglophone? No, it was never written there like that. Just okay for a convenience, let us make function like this. And when they don't like it, they throw you away. When was it ever written that Muna, the speaker, will be the successor? No, they put you there, and then when they don't want it, they throw you away. And that is why it's happening now. They are trying to create a post of a vice president. It's not going to be written there that the vice president should be English. No. You see, why don't I give it to them? So tomorrow, when the temperature calm down, we'll drive him away.
Mm-hmm.
If we're
Mm-hmm.
constitutional, we'll reach there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I can say for now. I hope people have questions to ask. We're prepared to address them. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Barrister Tim. You see, we don't talk for inside here, say this thing no be big book, no be grammar, na common sense. And anybody where he despise for learn from the seniors and think that his digital age it be enough, you find yourself in a quagmire. And that's the reason why many educated Amazonians, formerly very honest people, they don't be deceived. Because when God to talk a word, he means business. While our lines are open, if you are there, you can give us a WhatsApp call or send us a message on the 5+55119779. The number is there on the screen. You can see it on the screen. And these seasoned men here will be able to remind you. Remember, this is just a reminder of some of the things that you already know. We're just reminding you. And I do not think that anybody who is truly an Ambazonia should be ignorant of what we are saying here, except for the fact that some of you went through school never went through you, and then you are completely dead to the social needs of your people. They will know that we are a part and parcel of the devil, because you don't want no good for anybody. Again, how forget an ethical Ambazonia where people will tell the truth and live sincerely with one another and not be a parasite to feed on other people. Ambazonia has a lot of resources that you will not need to go die in the sea or come die in the forest trying to cross over to another person's land. The people who suffered and built the land, yes, you may say they use your fathers to build the land. Yeah, we are in the 21st century. Some of you are very intelligent and you can develop and initiate a lot of things in Ambazonia to make you live very comfortable. But what is happening? We are disappearing to dry lands, deserts, where people do not use their initiative for make it become an oasis, where everything is seemingly growing there. You do fight for go there. Just take the cream of Ambazonians who are intellectuals out there. I mean, doctors in the real sense, medical doctors, philosophical doctors, social doctors, in every aspect, Ambazonians then they inside. But the sad thing is that the moral attitude for them to build their own people in the village is lacking. And if there is any other thing, I attribute it to the spirit world. Whether we believe it or not, that thing, spirit world, it exists. And because of the spirit world, a lot of people, they be very blinded, even though black and white, they be put before them, they want to call it another name. It is spiritual. It is spiritual. And only a higher spiritual level, if he help you out of it. And Jesus has proven that he is the only way. That's why if you see an average Ambazonian who attended a mission school in the 60s, in the 70s, before we're completely engulfed, no, those people, they still have some iota of moral standard inside them. But this one, the way they come grow like agricultural cock, they take and throw them for inside government school, and more so when the Republic come in completely and say no teaching of religion, no morals in schools, the people became wild. And that's why even with all the money and all the riches they have taken from Ambazonia, they cannot even reconstruct their own roots, because devil cannot live in a clean place. And so he wants everybody to be like that. So Ambazonians, I'm sure you are learning something from what is going on in this ethics for an emerging nation. And these seasoned men are coming in here, as Barrister said, to remind you. Those of you who don't know the history, you are hearing the history bit by bit. So as we are coming to an end, still waiting for anybody who has a question or has something to contribute, our phone line is there. You can call, WhatsApp, you can write a text message, you cannot call, and so on. We'll be ready to give you an answer. So while we are going in for the last lap and to crown and to round up this thing, Dr. Titanta, I will ask you to share your last word with us in this program for today.
Yes, there is something that I forgot to mention, which is about the responsibility of the people in ensuring an ethical behavior from the leadership. And this, let me give an example. You may be in a public transport going maybe from Bamenda to Nkambe. And somewhere in the Ngokutunja, a policeman will come out of the nowhere and stop the vehicle and ask people to ask the driver to show his particulars. And because maybe the driver has something which is not, it doesn't have, the driver they would try to arrange it with some corruption. You as citizen sitting in that van, you should be able to denounce that at that instant. And it is very important that not just one person, that people, we get the various seeds of ethical people, because we have people that are ethical in our society, but the problem is that they are very silent. They don't take their responsibility. They don't own up when they see unethical behaviors and denounce it. Let me give an example. When I came to Belgium in 1996, 2 years later, I went back to Cameroon. And I was going to visit a family friend in Kumba. I was going with my junior sister. We were in a public transport from Douala. The van barely was crossing the Bonaberi Bridge. And one isolated gendarme man just came out of the nowhere, from nowhere. And he had stopped some vans ahead of us, like some 3-4 vans. And he came and stopped our public transport thing. We were sitting in that van, we were like 30 of us. So me being small in size, in Cameroon, they will overload and they will take the small people and put between the driver and some 2 other passengers in front. So they put me between the driver and 2 other passengers. So I was sitting there close to the driver. This gendarme man came close to the driver's window and he did not even open his mouth. He did not ask anything from this driver. All I saw was the driver pull a little case in front of him and brought a 500 banknote and pulled down the windows and was giving the man. So for me, I was like, this is not right. It was a year when Cameroon was one of the top on Transparency International as the most corrupt nation in the world. So I turned to the driver, asked him, what are you doing, sir? And the man looked at me and said, okay, Telisi Sodu, where is this one from? I was like, this is not right what you are doing, sir. Why are you giving this man money? He said, but that's what he wants. I said, no, he didn't ask anything. Why? I didn't hear the gendarme open his mouth and say anything. People, the whole world is saying that Cameroon is corrupt, and we all rejoice that the government is corrupt. Meanwhile, you, citizen, you are practicing this kind of thing. And the man was looking at me like, where is this man from? The gendarme too was confused, standing out.
Very strange.
And because I keep insisting, I said, if you don't give, what happened? He said he will not let us go. So if we don't go, what happens? Then we will be late. I said, we better be late, and this nonsense stops. And everybody sitting in the van just told me, they just answered as if they had arranged themselves. Let's nous tranquille, leave us in peace. I was like, oh my God. So all of you are in this shit. I just turned to the crowd. My junior sister was sitting there behind, was almost crying. She said, John, when is your flight? Please go you back where you came from. They will kill you. I'm telling you to say that when you are ethical, you cannot condone this kind of thing. And we have people like this in our society that they must own up. Fortunately, in our country, we will have a society that people who will own up, like in this kind of, they will be protected, they will be encouraged, they will be elevated to high level. Let me give you another thing that happened in 1993. You all remember the story of the GCE board. I was finishing École Normale Supérieure Yaoundé as a physics teacher. I had finished my first degree in physics. I went to École Normale Supérieure. I was the only English-speaking student in the class again. Then the GCE board crisis came up. So, mark you, I was poor from a poor background. My parents were poor. I couldn't pay even my rent. I couldn't pay. I was struggling to teach private school to pay. I could not pay. So one morning, I was oblivious of what was going on about the GCE board. My friends were rushing to my room to come and look for me. Put on your radio. I said, what is on? The minister, he wants you to come to the Ministry of Education. I said, for what? I was afraid. I said, what have I committed? Has somebody committed an offense in the ENS and my name has come up? Why am I called up? So when I found myself at ENS campus to look for my result, I saw campus surrounded by gendarmes. And I'm like, what is going on? And Abotabi, who was the director, just came out and pulled me and said, sir, where are you looking for? I said, I've come to look for result here. He said, are you student here? I said, yeah. What? For physics. He said, oh, he just took me into one room. And I went and found all my Francophone classmates sitting there and marking physics. That's when I opened my eyes and said, oh my God. The minister was calling me because they could not find Anglophone for physics, because Commonwealth had been asked that if these exams are not marked by English Anglophone teachers, they will not recognize certificate coming out of Cameroon. So they were going around looking for vulnerable Anglophones that they could easily corrupt to put their signature. I left that economy running because I said, my God, I was shouting and going on campus. West. What is it? I came and said, I now understand why they are calling my name to come, because minister was looking for Anglophones to corrupt. Never will I ever do such a thing. And Mark, I had 10 months on paid rent in my little room at the university, which was just 4,500 francs a month. I could have just gone and signed that. I said, I will never. My landlord heard it, and Anglophone, he came, he was very angry. He said, what do you think you are? Radical people like that, you are the ones causing trouble. Go take the money and pay my bill. He blocked my door, packed my thing, was throwing. I said, I will never do it. I'm saying to say that ethical behaviors pays. Mark you, less than a month later, one professor that I never knew came looking for me. I said, what is this man looking for me? I don't know this man. He said, I want you to come to my place. I want to talk with you. So I went to this man's house in BMRC. He said, I went to the university. I asked for a result of matrice, and you were the best student for this year. I want you to get out of this country, because I said, oh my God, what is this? But when you're ethical, even if you don't receive the pay here on earth, God is seeing it, and there is a reward. The Bible tells me that from the time of John the Baptist, the kingdom suffers violence. And I will repeat, paraphrase, and say, from the time of the Muna, the Endeles, the time of the Fonchas, the time of the Joa, Ambazonia has been under violence. And only the violent, not violent in the physical sense, the violent in their mindset, the violent who stand on what is right, will get back that nation. And they will get it and enjoy the fruit thereof. So, Amazonia ethical ones, get up. If you have been silent, you have been on the fences, stand up. even those that are
Yeah.
on ground at home front and have been trying to put their head in the sun. Get up. God will reward you for standing on what is true.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Tom. Your closing remarks, Dr. Tom.
I Yes, are you getting me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yes, I mean, as Barrister Tim put it is no rocket science. You don't have to be a professor in law to read and understand our interim constitution, which is littered from first to last page with common sense laws and yes, talking about the ethics commission also, and then there are, I mean, code of conducts, ethical code of conducts for not only leadership but for fellow Ambazonians. And we've talked on previous occasions about the importance of knowing, uh, reading and understanding and asking questions about the interim constitution, which is that which separates us from from others, which is that which binds us, all of us together. We are no more 5 years down the line. We are not just a group of friends who come from southern Cameroon's Ambazonia who want to do things the way each group agrees, but we are people who follow an interim constitution akin to that which was there before 1961, which we had been following as we had Dr. Endele and John Gufoncha as our prime ministers. So today we have that interim constitution, which is very, very important to follow, including the codes of conduct of ethics that are in there. So if we follow those as it is supposed to be followed, then we won't be having many of these problems today, because we see that those coup plotters, those disgruntled people who want to illegally usurp power, they don't give much regard to this interim constitution or to the ethical codes of conduct that we all follow. If they did, they would at least want to come and talk about the disagreement. That is what leadership is all about, talking about disagreement, having the courage to face your opponent and then talk with him or her to resolve problems on behalf of the whole nation, of all Ambazonians, not to like trying to suit your ego and then say, yeah, I will do things this way or that way because I know I'm right, no matter the consequences. So please know your interim constitution, know the code of conducts of the ethics, which we have disseminated to all our regional ethics representatives, and above all, follow them. And that would bring peace in our revolution, where there is no peace until as long as our young brave fighters are being slaughtered back home on a daily basis. But there will be some orderliness, and we will show to the world that we are a force to reckon with. We can govern ourselves. We are civil. We are a group of upright people, a nation of upright people, like those in Burkina Faso, formerly known as Upper Volta, renamed themselves Burkina Faso, the land of upright men, of upright people. That is the type of land that we want to be also, the land of Thomas Sankara, who, as a junior military person, really showed some courage, some ethical standard as a military person. He showed much more ethical behavior than some of our so-called civilian dictators, like the 80, 90-year-old diaper wearing evil Paul
blood sucking.
Bartholomew, yeah, Hitler Beer. So that is not what we want for Ambazonia. We want people who can be honest, can be truthful, can be accountable, and for the sake of 8 million Ambazonians, if they have disagreements that they see their point can't get through, and the majority has decided otherwise, you go ahead, you can resign from your position, you can take the back seat, you can work somewhere else instead of trying to stall the revolution for everybody because things must go your way. So that is what we are calling on Ambazonians to respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Barrister, over to you. Your last words for today.
My last word is this. Ethically, you don't need to be a big man to be ethical. You don't need to be the best educated to be ethical. Now, and let me illustrate this. I was a primary school teacher. Those of us who have driven from Boya to Moyoka, there's a school there to the left called Masue, that's my 30. We were teaching in that school. I was teaching Sunda 2. I had a friend of mine who was teaching class 2. And this friend, each time he came to class, he started the story by, I have a story to tell you. One day there was a cock. He always started this story with a cock. He did every day until one day a child, that boy was called Bate. He was in class 2, probably about 7 years old. He put up his hand and said, please, sir, excuse me. He said, yes. He said, every day cock, every day cock, every day cock. If you don't get something for teach, you know what left arm? So my friend, this thing came to the suburb. But I challenged him with this cock. He was an infant 2 child talking to a grade 2 teacher. And then he changed him. That changed him and changed all of us in that school. Again, see, for those who even believe, those of us brothers and sisters who are in Yaoundé who believe in United Cameroon, so be it. But they must stand up ethically to what is going wrong if they want to survive. In the 1961, when we purportedly joined these people, our politicians were the best educated.
Yeah.
He was simply a post office clerk. Foncha was at least a grade 2 teacher who was studying in St. Charles. He was going to university. Muna had gone to England. And then was a medical doctor. Who of them in East Cameroon was up to that level? Now, these people were the best cream of educated people we could find in the whole of United Federal Republic of Cameroon at the time. And then, the ones who have, look at all our parliamentarians in Yaoundé. The list of them probably has a master's degree. Now we talk about Senate. Why are these people so masculated? They cannot even stand up for their own selves. If they pull the statue of Francha down the streets in Douala, it does and say, look, this is our own leader. Like him or not, he was our leader. That statue will go back or will leave. That nonsense would have been dead. They didn't do
They stayed
it.
inside. Oh, God.
What did they do? Like they was put in the pigeon, they bent their tails between their legs and escaped. If today, as we speak, 2022, we can still have a bongo square in Boya. Why don't you have a street for Fancha in Yaoundé and Douala? Bongo is not even a Cameroonian. This is a fool who came from Gabon and visited Boya Ahijo in 1964. He has a whole square. That's the main celebrating spot in Boya. And then they will not even allow those statue to Fancha statue to stand in Yaoundé in Douala. And our politicians call them by their name or whatever. They will say nothing. They will not raise a finger. What can I call them? They are castrates. They are political castrates. I remember, to conclude, I saw one of these debates where our experts were called to say, but what happened to Resolution 1608? And one of them sought to explain, a university professor with a PhD, that well, Frontier and Ahidjo decided to do it their own way. To do what? To change the United Nations resolution their own way? So, why not say this thing is wrong? It is until when you point the wrong that is wrong that people will learn to correct. Why should they going around now, the Grand National Dialogue, Vice President? It's because we've heard them to their fallacies.
You
We
can
never knew that we could stand up to them. Now they are looking for solutions. They were not accepting them, but they are now on their war is on the back. So hold to your rights, challenge the oppressor, and you get what you want. That's what it means to be a man. That's what to be a human being. When Christ was born, for those of us who follow the Bible, and I'm always happy to hear it, he was alone. He was the lone voice crying in the wilderness, but he was able to redeem the whole world. They crucified him. He was not even a well-educated man. The Pharisees were the best educated in Israel. I don't know what standard Mr. Jesus Christ attended in Egypt when he went to school. Probably standard 6, if there was a standard 6 there. But he taught them. See, look at that Bible. Look at that verse. Look at that verse. They did not listen to him, but everybody has come to believe, at least the majority of people, have come to believe in his principles thousands of years after he died. So, Ambazonians, be ethical. Live up to the truth. Hold your leaders to the truth. If you hold them to the truth and you're truthful yourself, we are going to build a successful society. Hold us, me here, sitting here and talking, hold me to the truth. And I'll be honest later, I went wrong here. I should prepare to tell you, brothers and sisters, I'm wrong. That's what we are humans. So, followers, ladies and gentlemen, coordinator, I think that's my last word. Let us live up to the expectation of the ethical world in which we live. Without ethics, we are perished. And again, the ethics is the vanguard of the institution, of the constitution. We guard against it by saying that you are going wrong here, mister, you are going here, madam, you are doing this is not right. And so thank you, sir.
There's somebody where they call from home front. Hello, caller. Just tell us where you call from and which way you want for contribute.
Yes, I'm calling from ground one.
Okay. Go ahead. You did for live program for ethics
The call
commission.
from ground one. And I want to congratulate you very much. Because this is the type of government where, yes, I want to say, let me go ahead. People and one will come from home from. We will learn plenty from now. And when we go back home, everything will be correct. So I say thank you very much. And God bless you. You should be on daily or either on weekly basis with education. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. All right. I think thank you very much. They don't hear. I hope all of you have heard, right? Yeah, at least people from ground one person don't call from ground one for say thank we for what way would they do. And I think that I don't know, a bit tempted for talk say we will increase this program, make it not be only one time for 1 week. We'll get some day where if we even do now 1 hour or 45 minutes, we can go. In that way now, if we get that least opportunity, because there are this kind of education the way I think say they be very, very good for our people. I want to thank all of us today and for also make a more know say the noise where some of these people they make up for social media with the so many spectators, the way they get them. The noise they enter for here, they pass come on for here. But anybody will listen to teachings like this, reminders like this, even though you not be there, but if you see a small picture of the kind of lifestyle where some of us where we live for Ambazonia, And just with the testimonies where we give them out for here, many of them, they get the desire for see that kind of government. And that is why I'll be very, very grateful for Ethics Commission and for the kind of teachings, the way we to bring up. I want to also talk, say, the good book, the holy book, they talk, say, in the last days, knowledge shall increase. And the knowledge where they increase today, unfortunately, now knowledge where it drive people into wickedness instead. Where we check, say, as more as people then study for become more humans, they become more humane. But unfortunately, Satan don't enter for the whole thing. It turn things upside down. I do always like for end of a belief that not all facts are truth. The facts say Nyongo Day, where they kill people, where they destroy people, their minds. And the facts say other entities in they, other divinities in they way they confuse people. You find a human being where don't talk good yesterday, talk, clap your hands, shout, almost jump, say we must make it. And then suddenly there is that change. That change not only be because of money we don't take them physically. That change it don't be because something it don't be done for that individual spiritually. And we all know in those days of Nyongo, when they don't talk, say they don't sell you for Nyongo. People they don't want you, no go, no go. Some people they go still go because they don't already sell them, take over their spirits, take over their souls, and then they just go now physically for go die. That is way to way they happen for most of the Amazonians, where they don't chop the sacrifice food of La Republic. I really like the analogies of way to way when I talk because barrister go through Yaoundé, Dr. Titanta go through Yaoundé. Dr. Ndula, have you went through Yaoundé too? Yeah. You see, if I go for find out your backgrounds, I will discover, say, somebody in your family root, your family tree, where no be know for read and write. If you don't get this inspiration of God, because the story about God no be only the today where people did read them for Bible. If it don't exist long ago, and the consciousness of God it will be in the hearts of some of those people, and they will put them into practice. Say for thief, fine. All villagers they will know, but now the power for no thief will not be there. But today we bring down the power very close to the people by explaining way to way Jesus come do. And so Amazonians, remember, say this one will be the first government where they come up with the restoration quest for our homeland. But so many we don't be. And this one will come up now, it come up with one thing where it will keep anybody going, and that is morality, ethics, how to behave for yourself and for other people then. And I don't begin enjoy every bit of what this government it do now, because those dodgy and recalcitrant young men where they give powers for their hands, they use the powers for trample down on others and for destroy. Money for support our boys where they want for take land, they take and chop them. Then turn point finger where they know to substantiate, but their own evidence be very, very clear. Say they give you 135,000, show we what you don't do. You may bab. You suddenly become Momo overnight. I know if we talk. But in our ethical settings, we'll continue for educate the Amazonians the way they get ears for here, for make sure that may they filter out all the rubbish where they don't hear from the coup plotters in the social media. And that's why I'd want for encourage all of una to listen for we, for come back here next week, Friday, same time, 10 p.m. Amber time. And when you do come with your question, come with a word of encouragement like this one. We don't call it from ground zero. I mean from ground one. the people of home front, we know so when they hear we. Sometimes in days like this, that Republic will take away light. And then of course the thing go there for Facebook, it go there for YouTube. When I just go enter, listener, ethics commission for an emerging nation. When I will hear most of these things, I want to say thank you very much, panelists, for coming today. And we will go back home knowing that we don't talk for our people. I want to call it quit for today as we say bye-bye to all our friends and people then. All right, bye-bye. Kawala awiga seko Vermotung wawa Ni kwa puntu say Fundo zongo Seko pambizan Kawala awiga seko Vermotung wawa Ni kwa puntu say Fundo zongo Sefu wala zongo Sefu wala zongo anziliwe Zika migangile